Hello everyone, this is CJNovo992 and today we're back from the Brann new video, and to some people watching today's video, this is the second time you've seen me already. The day as we tried out and tested a little live stream earlier on to have a live reaction to the Europa League. Obviously that's one of the main topics we're here to discuss today, and there was a wee bit of fumbling in the dark for your boy CJNovo992, but we eventually got there. We had a laugh. It was a good 20 minutes and I thought it was a successful time. I think we had over 1,800 people at one point watching the live stream. It's terrifying to think about, but after the video went up, because I'm using a sort of lesser camera to do the live streams, it was a bit blurry, it wasn't that great, so I didn't want to leave it on the channel for people that's maybe working or was busy and they couldn't catch it, because it was near unwatchable after it was uploaded to YouTube. But don't worry, I went and ordered a new webcam camera. It should be a lot higher quality, so the next time we do a live stream, live reaction, because you never know when we'll need to do a live reaction to a sacking or anything, you know what I mean, just don't know. Anyway, the next time there should be a live reaction, you'll be able to catch it later on as well. But because we had to remove the video, I thought let's me and thee sit together and discuss the Europa League, discuss the opponents and what potentially we could look like going in to these games of football. So it's time for the European Europa League reaction video. So let's dive into it. Now, ironically, when this was happening, I was perfectly on time. Now, by the time I've uploaded my video, it's about 5 and 6 hours too late. But hopefully you're still interested in hearing about these teams and hearing about the path and hearing about this Russell Martin-led Rangers side. Because eventually, after so much silliness and showmanship and dreadfulness from UEFA trying to delay the actual draw, you know, the reason we were all there to watch it, they must get paid per the minute. It was painful to watch. There was a magician at one point, you know what I mean? Just magician making balls disappear. It was like watching Russell Martin try and motivate a Rangers team. There was just ballists everywhere, you know what I mean? There was even a point where he put his hand in and it all went up and the balls disappeared on a puff of smoke. It was like watching Hibs Europa League campaign just vanish in the space of an eye. But eventually the draw was done and eventually we found our opponents, and I said it hours ago when it happened live, and I'm sitting here now after thinking about it. Ladies and gentlemen, that Europa League draw, it's not bad. Now granted, I know we are absolutely barking right now and it's hard to see the light of any potential end of a tunnel, especially when Tenny Vegetables is in charge of the Rangers team, but at the exact same time you look at the Europa League campaign and the Europa League opponents just at face value, you've got to fancy that. I mean, last season we got one of the hardest possible draws. We had both Europa League finalists, ladies and gentlemen. Let that sink in. If that's not the most Rangers luck thing you'll ever see, us on our group stage, if you want to call it that, we played both teams that ended up making the final, and maybe the cruelest part is it, neither one of them gave us the biggest spanking of there and the toughest test, as that was actually Leon. So once you move away from that and put it into that type of context, you sit and glance at this year's, and again you've got to fancy your chances to going ahead and having some sort of European success, despite it again seeming very far away under the current manager and the current performances we've got. But in terms of on paper, ladies and gentlemen, that's about as good as it's going to get. But in saying that, just in case you haven't heard of the draw yet or you haven't seen it broken down, maybe you're working, maybe you have family commitments, you couldn't go ahead and check it, so you've clicked on today's video, I'll let you know who our Europa League opponents are before it's all said and done. That is of course Roma. That's Porto. It's a tough dirty double that in it. Then, however, it starts to open up a little bit. You have Braga. That's what I thought. Did you? I don't know. Maybe you did. But we've got Genk in there, which is a bit of a coin flip. We'll speak about that in a minute. You then got ferencvaros and ludogorets. You've then got the likes of Sturm Graz and Brann as well. So ladies and gentlemen, it's not too bad, especially when you start breaking away in terms of who we're playing at home and who we're playing away, which again, dare I say, tips more in our favour if we can ever start looking like a functioning football team. Because once you narrow in the home games and break it to home and away, you can see where this qualification can be won and lost very quickly. One of the teams we will definitely play at Ibrox is of course Roma, who I can't sit and take too much away, ladies and gentlemen. I think they're a very, very good side. The way they press, the way they move their business. They've only played once so far this season in terms of domestic games. They've won that, so they are undefeated. But yeah, Roma's a good side with very, very good players that'll be licking their lips looking at the way we defend, whether that is at Ibrox or over in Rome. Let's call that how we see it. We'll do well to get points out of that one. However, it then opens up because again, you've got Braga and we've got this connection, we've got this in our mindset that there is something there. The amount of times we played Braga in the space a couple of years and the fact we always seemingly done well. Now that might come and underline the fact that we have regressed ridiculously if we didn't get anything for Braga. No, despite everything we've been through. However, you take Braga there, you've got a sense of, yeah, we can do something, especially at Ibrox. So you're looking at that for points, or potential points I should say. And then you go into a wee bit deeper into it. Then you've got the likes of the ludogorets, who will be a wee bit unknown to most people. Now they do currently sit undefeated in terms of their league season. However, if you look at them on the European stage, they ironically got beat off the likes of ferencvaros, who knocked them from the Champions League, qualified into Europa League, and that's where they've tumbled into there. So you can look and compare the quality of base squads if you want. But yeah, coming to Ibrox, ludogorets, again, surely, man, you've got to take some positivity and go on there and marking that one down and be like, that's one on the calendar, that's one you draw into these players. If they've got anything about them, they make sure that's free. And I wanted to leave one name to last, and that's Genk coming up to Ibrox. And I maybe made a reference to it being a bit of a coin flip, because so far this season in terms of league football, they've been pretty poor. They've not been great, you know what I mean? They've played a couple games, they're, dare I say, looking like us domestically. It's not been gone away well for them overall. However, you look at them on an individual basis and an individual case, what they're capable of being, especially if they get up to speed. And they're a team that can absolutely scant us, ladies and gentlemen, as they scanted Lech Poznan away from him. They travelled to Lech Poznan away from him and put the scoreline of 5-1. But in terms of the unpredictableness, after beating them 5-1, what do you think, out of curiosity, if you've not looked into what Genk done at home? Away from him, 5-1. What did they do at home? Ladies and gentlemen, they got beat 2-1 of Lech Poznan. Now again, I imagine a lot of that will be playing with their slippers on, but the unpredictability of them is there to be seen. The only thing that scares me to death, ladies and gentlemen, if you look at them overall from what they were last season to where they are now, they finished one space below Club Brugge and only a handful of points. And you didn't need me to remind you what Club Brugge done to us. Well, Genk was in and amongst it, and that's a scary prospect. But speaking of scary prospect, we do have the away team to go ahead and look at in the away fixtures, which we will in a minute. But if you are watching today's video, I would genuinely love to know, right? You've got Roma there, you've got ludogorets, you've got Genk, and you've got Braga. There is 12 points available at home at Ibrox, where it's supposed to be the advantage, where we're supposed to have European magic. That was what was brought back to the football club. Ladies and gentlemen, out of the 12 points, how much do you predict we're going to be winning out of those 12 available? Well, shall let me know down in the comment section below. I will move away to the away form, where again it starts as scary as possible, and that's going to be Porto. We're starting off with the two hardest teams. Roma at Ibrox will do well to get points, and if we go out to Portugal and get sun for Porto, the way they attack, the quickness they've got in the wide areas, and the way they can put the ball into the back of net, if we get sun for that game, we've done really, really well, especially under the leadership of Russell Martin. They're a very, very good side, ladies and gentlemen, and it'll be a tough cookie to crack, if you catch my drift. However, moving away from them, again, on paper, you glance at it and you look here, you've not got an Old Trafford. You've not got these types of games that say, oh, that's a tough one to go. There should be favourable matchups. Every Rangers fan should be licking the lips into it. But again, based on what we've seen and the standard we've played, we're looking at them going, and that's a damning statement in itself. Because ferencvaros away is going to be a tough away day, absolutely, ladies and gentlemen, especially considering the fact they knocked out the likes of ludogorets. They knocked them in to here. But see if you're wondering, right, they beat ludogorets, they got through to the next stage of the Champions League. How on earth are they in the Europa League? Well, they ended up getting put out versus Carrierbag, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, old Carrierbag FC. You'll know, you'll remember if you watched this channel and if you watch this football club. They put 5 goals past ferencvaros. 5 freaking goals. So there's got to be some goals in that. You've got to be, as an attacking player, glancing at there and be like, yeah, I fancy that. Or at least you should be. So again, possible win on that one. And then maybe the two unknown or the lesser known teams will be Sturm Graz. Of course, they are a team that's had a iffy-ish start again domestically in terms of their season, but they are a wild card, and I can never look down on anybody, ladies and gentlemen, especially the way we are actually playing. And gone out there where they've had some good European performances at home, It might be a bit trickier than a lot of people was expecting, but again, gone there with the opportunity to pick up 3 must be on every Rangers player's mind. And then we leave it off with the last one that I wanted to mention, SK Brann, who everyone's expecting to be the punching bags possibly of our run, or the mini group if you want to call it, even though it's not a mini group, you know what I mean, just with the teams we're actually playing. Do you know what I find interesting about Brann? Just very briefly, obviously we'll dive in more with every team in terms of the preview, but Brann's played half their season so far. They're no up just trying to find their feet. They're not trying to figure things out. They know who they are, they know how to play, they know what their strengths are, they know who their manager is, and they know how to play at the best of their ability, and they're having a pretty damn solid season, obviously behind the likes of Bodo Glimt, who again probably going to run away with the league, but they're sitting in third now, they're kind of purring, they're looking good, they're scoring some goals, so aye, they're up to speed, they're not finding their feet, they know who they are. So aye, I wouldn't necessarily think that's going to be the easiest game in the world as well, especially under the context of how we're playing. And this depresses me to say this, because you know what I'm normally like on European games. I fancy everything, you know what I mean? I go here, hello to them, I see them and I love it, you know what I mean? But I'm glancing being like, it's going to be a tough game that. Oh no, there's a big laddies. Have you seen the big laddies some of the teams have got? You know what I mean? Sturm Graz, have you seen the size of their defenders? You sit and go, oh, okay, that could be very, very scary. So that's it in terms of the away fixtures. And again, if you are still watching, you told me how much you think you're going to get out of the home games. Well, the 12 points is available for the away. Porto, ludogorets, ferencvaros, Sturm Graz, and obviously big SK Brann, who I always think a Game of Thrones every time I say their names. For me, you could argue you'll probably get more points away from him than you will him on paper, that is, but again, there's a perfect opportunity when you glance at both. If we can just get our house in order and tidy things up and start performing, we can have a very good European campaign. We can make some money this European stage. It doesn't need to end with the embarrassment that was Club Brugge, that underline we're no a Champions League side, and seeing them draw against the likes of Arsenal, PSG, Arsenal, Barcelona and Bayern Munich and everything like that. You glance at who they've got. Can you imagine how we would feel if we were playing that? Right, that's gone now though. We've got this now. Let's actually get our stuff in order, Rangers, and start doing some things, because we've got the perfect opportunity for more European magic. But are they good enough to do it? I guess we'll find out. But that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's a very favourable draw on paper. But again, when I glance at the Rangers team, it's just got to be a hell of a lot better. And I'm not even sure by the time we play some of these teams, that manager will be in the dugout. So it could look vastly different. But for me, I am battling, and I am going to go out on a limb and think we will progress to the next stage of the league. Now, I don't think it will necessarily be a top 8 like we did last year, unbelievably last year with some of our performances. But again, I think qualification needs to be the minimum to make it to the next stage, make a wee bit more money and see where we can go. Again, it could look vastly different by the time we play some of these teams. If we bring in Big Bojan, if we bring in a centre-half, we bring in a midfielder, our team could look vastly different in the good way. Or we could lose the likes of Raskin and everything like that and look in like a horrendous and even weaker side that we've currently looked already. That coin flip fits for us as well, ladies and gentlemen. But that's my thoughts and opinions in it. Favourable if we get our house in order, and I believe we will at some point, no matter if it's under Martin or no. Eventually it's got to click, surely, and you know what I mean. But that's me, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you've enjoyed today's video, and again, for future videos when we do these live streams, I'll just keep the live streams up. It was just because it was the first time in 5 years I'd been live, had to figure some stuff out in terms of the new computer and the new setup and everything. It was a wee bit rusty, you know what I mean. I'm not exactly great at the old technology thing, but I'm trying to learn. I will get better at it in time, so all future videos will be live for these types of reactions. But again, just for those that were working and weren't able to catch a live, I didn't want you missing out because you were busy or you had other commitments, because again, I love chatting to you. So let me know overall, home and away, there is 24 points available. How many are we getting? That would be very, very good. But until then, I've been Siege992. Shout out the legends that are signed up to the channel legend memberships, signed up to those that are also, shout out those, that are signed up to the supporter range, and to each and every single person that's been watching this channel and keeping these lights on, from me to thee, thank you. I'll see you in the next video, which should hopefully have a smile on my face. Until then though, take care of yourselves, all the best, and bye bye.